This is Gary Spivey, Psychic to the Stars. And remember, I come on right after Bob Lassiter from 6 to 8 p.m. here on AM 620 WSUN. Now, back to my sales manager at Spivey's Corner, Mr. Bob Lassiter.
18 and a half minutes after the hour, 4 o'clock. About 4:18 and a half is what that works out to. On a Friday, September the 29th, we have a special surprise guest in studio that we'll get to momentarily. Let us first of all go to a cell phone. Hi, Sel. You're on the air at WSUN.
Hi, Bob.
Hi, Sel.
King Bob.
Yes, sir.
Well, I wanted to call you. I haven't called in quite some time, and I guess it was about a year and a half ago. I called and told you that my daughter had picked up on the worst word I possibly could ever hear come out of her mouth, and that word was daddy.
Right.
At 2 in the morning, daddy is not exactly what you want to hear.
Well, it all depends. There have been sometimes at 2 o'clock in the morning when she said daddy that I enjoyed, but,
Well, I was wrong a year and a half ago because she has picked up on a new word that we've been trying to get across. If you're in the store and you're somewhat, we're somewhat reserved. And she yells out across the room, "Daddy, I got a potty." Those are bad words.
Yes, I hear them all the time from my girl in the afternoon on the radio show. About every 15 minutes. I got a potty. Bam, she's gone.
Oh, I could not believe it. I've turned deep red in stores over this. This is just unbelievable.
Well, I think it's something that most people understand, you know.
I was just totally shocked over this. But, she's coming along with this deal. So I'm just hoping that one day you could get Jeffy to that point.
Well, we would just like to get Sharon to that point.
Hey.
And I had an idea. I heard you talking about a week or so ago about the way you close out your show. You just give the time and that's it.
Right, leave.
I would suggest that you have Sharon sing at the end of your show. Now, I've heard you sing, Bobby, and that's not a good thing at all. But I've heard, Sharon can sing, and that's supposed to be the way it's supposed to be, when
but unfortunately,
it's over when the fat lady sings.
But you see, I kind of like that. But unfortunately, Sharon was a backup singer, and so the only songs that she knows all basically go like a da-da-da, do-do-do, do-wop, do-wop, shoo-bop. Exactly, and it probably wouldn't help the show.
Well, I just wanted to call and, just give Sharon a little grief. Y'all
Yeah.
Okay, take care. 576W. God, did I mention I got a chance to call my ex-wife a porker today?
Did I mention that you're 50? Tomorrow. It's your birthday, isn't it?
That wasn't necessary. That wasn't necessary.
Well,
we have joining us momentarily, briefly in the studio, the counselor, the legal counsel for the Ross Reback organization, otherwise known as the Ron and Ron Radio Network, for whatever possible purpose I cannot begin to imagine, perhaps to announce the location where they will be accepting the lawsuits from last night. Is that why you're here, counselor, to give the address where these favors can be filed, or what?
No, last night was quite nice. We had a very good time. I think the crowd was left very happy.
Is anybody going to sue you for anything this time?
No, we did good. Everything was good. We didn't bring out the bazooka gun and shoot the audience or maim anybody. No, we didn't do any of that.
Did you potato gun somebody?
No, we didn't potato gun anybody. I prohibited that, and then people were throwing beer at me all night long because of that decision.
That was a smart decision.
Are you sure that's why they were throwing beer at you, or were these perhaps former clients who were ruined as a result of your representation?
I saw so many lawyers in the audience that I couldn't believe that it would be them that were throwing beer at me. So, no, I don't think it was former clients or the lawyers. I think it was just people that were upset about the potato gun incident where I prohibited it from coming out on stage. But we shouldn't fire that at people.
Well, may I inquire, since this is, why didn't it dawn on you before as to the possibilities of legal liability here? When it had been promoted repeatedly on the air, and I'm sure there were people that were there for that very sole purpose.
I never heard about it. So
don't you listen to the show?
I do listen to the show.
Yeah, show you how much you listen.
I've been doing so much court work that I don't have all the time in the world to listen to the show, and they don't make me tapes. So I don't always get to follow up on what they're doing on a daily basis or an hourly basis. But
so let me see if I understand this. In addition to your legal practice, which apparently must be failing miserably, you also tend to people's tennis courts, and you've been very busy at that, doing court work?
Absolutely. And that's why I walked into the studio today, Bob, to wish you a happy tennis court day. So
well, thank you, because the last time you were here, you were, challenging Bob Merkel to come over and get into a fight with you.
No, you were trying to create an altercation.
I think everybody who heard the show, Jonathan, knows precisely what was going on.
No, Sharon even backed me up, right, Sharon? I never insulted Mr. Merkel.
Well, not so as you'd notice,
Oh, thanks a lot. Now I'm getting tag teamed. I think it's time to wish you a happy tennis
perhaps
and go back to my little cubby hole.
Perhaps in your neighborhood, fighting words such as, I don't think the weenie has the guts to come over here and stand up to me like a man is not an insult. But I believe in Mr. Merkel's neighborhood, they are fighting words.
Now,
I'd be watching in my rearview mirror tonight, Jonathan.
How did this happen? I come walking down the hall to wish you very good greetings on your blessed event, and the next thing I know, I'm asked to sit here, and I sit here, and the next thing I know, I'm being bombarded with this alleged conversation I had with you from a week ago, which I denied at the time and I deny again, although I did see him on TV as a commentator, and him and Julia Holt, they did a fine job. And I watched Nick Cox last night.
That's not what you were saying off the air about
him. I never talked about him off the air today. I just came down here and said
I recall the words is, why didn't they put Roy Leap's dog on? He's more intelligent and cuter.
I said that?
Yes.
I don't like Roy Leap's dog.
Now you're slamming Roy.
Oh, no, I'm not slamming Roy, but I don't like little dogs.
Like Scud?
Even I like Scud.
Well, I don't like Scud, and I don't like
it's one thing, Jonathan, it's one thing to come on my show and just rip to shreds a fine former U.S. attorney, but to come on my show and now say that you don't like Scud, who is an icon in this market.
Yep. He's right.
He is an icon in this market. I'll give you that.
Are you going to challenge Roy Leap to a fight now, too?
I think I'd have a better chance with Roy Leap than with Bob Merkel.
Then why did you challenge Merkel to start with?
I didn't challenge him to anything. You started it.
And you said that Merkel's dog was ugly, too.
I don't even know if Bob Merkel has a dog. And God, I hope he doesn't have one.
Don't mention his kids again.
Oh, now he's calling his wife a dog.
No, I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. I'm on the radio.
Is that what you heard him say, Jeffy?
Yes.
All these people can hear everything I say. You can't put anything in my mouth at this point.
Well, do you deny being in the control room prior to coming in here talking to Jeffy?
I was in the control room prior to coming in, but we were talking about having...
Yeah, we were talking about Bob Merkel's wife.
No, we were not. We were talking about the O.J. Simpson trial.
I was saying, boy, she's a pretty good-looking lady.
And a fine, decent woman, too.
Yeah.
No.
Who just doesn't deserve that type of...
And as he's walking out of the control room, I hear him going...
Oh, boy.
You're in trouble now.
Before I get into more trouble, I think it's time for me to... I think Jeffy really nailed Bob with that one right between the eyes. He hasn't even recovered yet. I think it's time for me to exit, and I hope all your listeners have a great weekend, because now I'm going to be looking in my rearview mirror for a whole family.
Yeah.
Bye, all.
Bye, Jonathan.
Goodbye, Jonathan. Why would he come on the air and take vicious shots at Scud? I mean, everybody likes that little doggy.
I know.
I just don't understand. Let's go to Tampa. Hi, Tampa. You're on the air at WSUN.
How you doing, Bob?
Doing great. How are you?
Bob, you stole my thunder again as usual. But let's try something this time. I wanted to know, when I'm watching this trial, because I've watched it from day one. I'm an African-American. And the thing I just can't understand, there's a lot of stuff that was reported and missed out. Like, one of the key reasons why you don't hear a rebuttal or in the trial about the Bronco was that was AC's Bronco. The money and the passport, yes, they were in OJ's car, but the car was home. If you remember, when they pulled up, the Bronco was already there.
Whoa.
Think about it, Bob. Remember?
No, wait a second. What are you saying here? Let's go back over this again.
Remember, think now, AC's got a white Bronco and OJ's got one, too.
Right.
They were in that Bronco together. The prosecution, nobody. That's why you never hear anything about it. Because it wasn't OJ's Bronco. It was AC's at the time.
No, the Bronco that was impounded out in front of the house, OJ's house, that's OJ's Bronco.
When they were driving down the interstate, the chase, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, nobody ever said otherwise.
Well, I'm saying why they never brought it up in, the trial. And I've been watching this.
Well, no, the reason it wasn't brought up is because in order for the prosecution to play what happened that day, they would have to have played everything that happened that day. And a lot of it is very positive to OJ. And they just didn't want the jury to deal with that.
Said he was like, leaving the cemetery? That was like feasible or whatever, or heading toward it. It was like either or. I mean, this is what I was listening to. Mm-hmm. And the thing that got me inside the court is like way back when they let it leak. The prosecution let it leak. We tested those drains and found blood. I know everybody remember that. We found blood in OJ's drain.
Right.
And then they never bring it up in rebuttal. They let that go on in the court case. And everybody knows they took his pipes apart. Not an ounce, not a drop. And the prosecution also said that O.J. wore the bloated clothes to the house and got cleaned up before he came back downstairs.
Right.
And they never, when Cato, trying not to move so fast here, and when Cato and O.J. came back from Burger King or wherever, it was in testimony, I watched it. Cato said, I walked away. They asked him again. Was OJ? It was nothing about OJ watching. He goes, no, I just went away. He had a phone call to make. That was his exact testimony. As soon as he went in the house, he made a phone call. Bling, he had a long distance call to make. He never turned around like anybody else would do. See you, bye. Then, to make the worst of it all, the prosecution, the limo driver, the key thing, he said the bags were already outside. He had a gazillion bags already sitting outside in the driveway. And I can't understand, this guy keeps saying this, and even when the limo driver pulled up, Marcia Clark made him say that she showed a picture it was her own witness, but she had to show a picture to show, because they asked her, was there a white Bronco there? He goes, I did not look for any vehicle. I looked for the address, and the addresses are on the curb. She said, are you trying to tell me if it was there, you wouldn't have seen it? And once he saw the picture, she put a picture up there, then he was like, I guess it could have been there. I don't know. But I wasn't looking for it. I was in a hurry. I wanted to get OJ. I did not want to be late. That was his exact testimony. He said he never looked down that street for that vehicle.
No, he would not emphatically say it was not there because he couldn't say it was.
He couldn't say it. He couldn't say it.
Just like all the rest of us, you're not looking for a car, you don't say it.
Thank you. And, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I can understand all the things the prosecution says. It sounds good, and then they get to a point. They'll get to a point. The clothes he went to the recital in are supposedly the murder clothes. But yet, like Cocker says, he changed his shoes and socks, got on some Bruno Mali and put on dress socks, and went to kill.
Well, what's the bottom line here, though? Let's not go through the whole trial.
The bottom line is, to people that are listening, it's just like Bob's been trying to tell you. It's not a point thing. It's not, they got more points, and the defense has got more points. You got to think about it. If you're going to send somebody to jail for the rest of their life, no matter how nice it sounds, it's got to be the truth. It can't be slanted. It can't be canted. It can't sound a certain way. It has to be the God's honest truth.
Okay, dude.
Thank you, Bob. Bye,
be good.
Sharon.
It's 4:31. Hey, if you're trying to decide what to do tonight, well, let me make a recommendation. Sabrina's Dining and Dancing Club. It offers you fine dining, a place to dance the night away, all under one roof that doesn't go back and forth, back and forth. Never have to be rescued by the Coast Guard from Sabrina.
Oh.
There's no need to go to one place for happy hour, another for dinner, and still another for entertainment, because it's all at Sabrina's. Sabrina's Dining and Dancing Club offers casual, affordable dining with a variety of entrees like steaks and seafood and ribs and poultry. And tonight through Saturday, you can dance to Joey Ray and the Satellites without going back and forth, back in. Music starts at 8:30. Joey and the Satellites have never been known to hit a bridge. And don't forget, this Sunday you can enjoy the sound of big band era music starting at 3. So don't complain about nothing to do. Sabrina's offers you all types of choices, plus great fruit. Great food.
Great fruit, too.
Yeah. And while you're there, be sure to register to win a free dinner with me at Sabrina's. Get all the details at Sabrina's Dining and Dance Club in the Western Comfort Inn, 1 mile west of I-75 on Route 60, nowhere near a bridge. And if you tell them that I sent you, you'll get a free draft. So stop in for happy hour or dining fun. And remember, it doesn't go back and forth, back and forth.
Better get the Bloodline Cruise after this. Are you through?
Yes.
Yes, we'll be leaving at 7 aboard the Majestic Empress of John's Pass. No, it looks nice out. Stop! Both of you. Beautiful. Be lovely
Yes,
tonight.
it is lovely out there.
Please remain seated and
Just call 895-DEAL and come with me tonight.
What? I can't hear you. What was that number again?
Forget it.
He will hit the bridge. He will.
Hey!
He will now. Get out.
Jimmy!
Just a preview.
Let's go to Hernando. Hi there, Hernando. You're on the air at WSUN.
Good afternoon, most exalted Royal Majesty.
Good afternoon, Hernando.
Sherry, if you would get rid of that Jeep and get a Bronco, you could have a body bag to keep your dirty cotton underwear in, and you wouldn't have to put them in the file cabinet.
That's right.
That's an idea.
I think.
What a selling point.
And the Bronco's much more secure because, like you remember the last time you left your dirty laundry in the Jeep, somebody broke in and stole it.
Yeah.
And of course, it was returned the next day, but...
Well, that was probably used
all
as a live
brown.
gig.
Yeah, it was.
The thing that really makes me sick, and I have flipped over occasionally to get the spin on We Fascists Lie a Lot, the same people that are calling in saying, well, we don't believe that the LAPD would fabricate any evidence whatsoever against anybody, are the same people that are calling in and yowling and whining about the evidence planting, going after innocent citizens at Waco and Ruby Ridge?
Yes. Yes, white Christians.
Oh.
White Christian gun collectors. Yes, the government definitely is trying to set up and frame white Christian gun collectors, but no chance that they would try to do that to any other citizen.
Especially a minority who just happened to have a white wife. They would never do that in L.A.
Of course not.
And just like the Chicago Police Department wouldn't murder Fred Hampton in his sleep either. They never did that either.
Well, the fact of the matter is the Chicago Police Department wouldn't murder Fred Hampton in his sleep, and the fact of the matter is the Los Angeles Police Department would not try to frame a man who was black and happened to have a white wife. Unfortunately, there are people in the Chicago Police Force and there are people on the Los Angeles Police Force who would do despicable things like that.
Exactly.
And who have done despicable things like that. And who in all probability did do a despicable thing like that in this particular case.
And it just irritates me that these, and it only can be back down to these own racist beliefs that these people want to get the nigger who was doing the white woman. They don't care what the LAPD did. They want to get that guy because he had a white woman, and 2 white people were killed also.
That I don't necessarily believe. That I think is going a little bit too far. Unfortunately, what I think has happened, see if you agree, disagree, what I think has happened is we just do not want to concede that black people do play by a different set of rules in this country, that black people are, frankly, discriminated against. Let's not dance around the word. We don't want to concede that. And it's not that, you know, as I said earlier, most people are not racist because most people don't have the opportunity to be, and probably wouldn't have the guts to be even if they did have the opportunity. But we ignore the fact that racists do exist. We ignore the fact that it's a tough road to hoe to be a person who is not white in this country. And we just don't want to admit it.
And since the vast majority of us are still, for the most part, white, we haven't had these experiences. I'm about as white, upper middle class as you could possibly get. And one of my best, just a little example of what I have seen on a small basis was I have one of my best friends in college was black, and I had gone home when he lived in East St. Louis. I had gone home with him for the weekend.
Did you see BL while you were there?
Huh?
Did you see BL while you were there?
She was probably about 11.
No, okay.
So I don't think she'd made the streets yet. I think that happened the next year.
Okay.
But I got had entirely too much to drink, and I let him drive back to school. Well, we were coming out of East St. Louis. I had a Firebird. I'm in the back seat. He's driving. Another buddy, his roommate, went with us. I'm in the back seat. We get pulled over out in the county by a deputy sheriff. Now, they don't see me. I'm kind of slumped down, half asleep in the back seat. But guys got the window. I can hear this cop everything. And the first thing out of his mouth is, where did a nigger like you get this car? First thing out of his mouth. Hadn't run plate. I don't think he had a chance to run plates or anything else. That was the first thing out of his mouth, was he wanted to know where the nigger got the Firebird.
Mm-hmm.
So about that time, I kind of woke up, and by the time the cop eventually got around to realizing that, oh, there's a white guy in the back seat, and this is his car, then his whole attitude changed. So I have seen it, not to me, but I've seen what can happen if you don't fit the profile of being in where you're not supposed to be or where they don't think you can. I can see what has and can happen.
Well, I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt I am not a racist. I can tell you that. I can also tell you that I still have a hell of a lot of work to do, and I'm not so sure I'm ever going to accomplish it in terms of racial relations because I still am not colorblind. But I can also tell you that I have been the victim of racial discrimination. I lived in an area that was run by blacks.
Mm-hmm.
I lived in St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands and had a run-in with the authorities. And I also traveled off the beaten path and sat in restaurants for 45 minutes and was ignored while other black patrons were, seated and taken care of immediately, who came in long after I did. I was struck by a black policeman. The only reason I bring this stuff up is because it is real. There is no rhyme, there is no reason, there is no logic to racism, and it doesn't make any difference if it's white on black, black on white, yellow on red, red on green. It doesn't make any difference. It is an illogical, irrational act. And why is it such a stretch for people to believe or to accept that it can get completely out of hand beyond just, slapping in the gut with a nightstick for no reason, which is what happened to me, to saying, okay, get yourself out of this one, white boy.
Yeah.
Get yourself out of this one, nigger.
That's one of the things that has always baffled me. I think maybe it has something to do with growing up watching the good cops of the LAPD on Dragnet and Adam 12 and all that. I mean, that. Of course,
Joe Friday would never do this.
Pardon?
Joe Friday would never do this. As a matter of fact, most cops would never, ever do anything like this.
No, but unfortunately, too many of them do turn the blind eye, like you said. They just ignore it. They don't pass the word along to weed these people out before they do irreparable damage, and then the cops have to spend 10 years going back and trying to undo everything that a Mark Furman has done.
Well, one of the things that Chris Darden was, pleading and begging with the jury to disregard was this, this talk about the codes of silence. This is bull. He participated in the code of silence in this trial. He knew who and what Mark Furman was, knew that Mark Furman was lying, and kept his mouth shut.
Mm-hmm. Because he
Why? I don't know.
He's a good team player.
Exactly. Precisely. And he's standing there trying to tell the jury that this is a bunch of bull. This isn't real. He did it.
It's too bad that not every middle-class white person or more of them cannot undergo the same experience you did. And maybe when they came back to the United States, they would come back with a little bit different appreciation that we don't live in the same world that the minorities do in this country.
Oh, I will never forget it. You see, but I can't say amused, maybe bemused, if I'm really sure of the meaning of that word.
Doesn't work.
When these things happened to me, because first of all, I knew that I didn't have to stay there. I was there of my own free will, and I could go back to where I came from anytime I wanted to, and wouldn't have to put up with this kind of bull crap. And none of it was absolutely devastating to me and my ability to function. That kind of stuff was a little scary when I was arrested, and to say beaten would be really pushing, but was hit repeatedly in the stomach and the back of the legs for no reason under the sun.
Roughed up is a good word.
Yeah, roughed up. It wasn't the end of the world. It wasn't that terribly discomfortable, and I knew precisely what was going on. I was the victim of racial discrimination, irrational racial discrimination, just because they hated me. They hated me because I was white.
But the difference was you were an adult who could understand that when it occurred, rather than being a 6-year-old kid who doesn't understand why this guy with different skin pigment hates him because he's darker.
Yeah, it annoyed me. That's really what it did. Especially like the restaurant situations. That would annoy and anger me. But so what the hell? I'd get up and go back to the whites section of the island, and
that's it.
Treated
you can
fine.
Get up and leave. I mean, what would a kid brought up in Chicago or New York or LA? What in the world would he do in Africa? I mean, please. That's such a silly concept to begin with.
Well, it's a very silly concept to think that this is a white man's country. No, this is a country of immigrants of all shades. None of us, except for a handful of people who are American Indians, have any claim whatsoever to this place. And even they, I'm sorry, we can go back and say that they were immigrants too.
Mm-hmm. And it's convenient to forget that we all haven't been here for 10,000 years or so. It's convenient.
And even if we were, there is not a single square inch, to the best of my knowledge, of this earth where people have not wandered to and wandered from. And been run out of by another group. It's only, relatively recent history that gives you claim to that area. It is just such bullcrap, and man, I was really disappointed. Really disappointed this morning when I was listening to, what the hell did you call that station? We Fascist Lie a Lot? Yeah, okay, We Fascist Lie a Lot. You can use that. Nobody noticed what that man said. Or if they noticed it, they just wanted to go, it's nice populist rhetoric, as it were, so you don't have to, it's not something that you want to challenge, because he doesn't want to lose his audience. He's not going to challenge the people that listen to him, pay his bills. No, I don't even think it was that much. It's just that, unfortunately, there are an awful lot of us that think that way. Okay, I'm a good person, I'm a decent person, I'll tolerate the blacks. Because that's what they were saying. Mm-hmm. And if they're going to get too uppity, then they can go back to their own country. And get uppity there, I guess. Yeah. And that's just not the attitude to have, and that's the attitude that we do have. And it's more's the shame for it. Hear, hear. Fraud, Bob. 576 WSUN in Pinellas, and Hillsborough 221 WSUN. It's 448.
AM 620 WSUN. Talk radio the way it's supposed to be.
Huh? This is the way it's supposed to be? God. Well, let's go to Oldsmar. Hi, Olds. You're on the air at WSUN.
How you doing, Bob?
Doing great, man.
Hey.
Do you think there's any chance that Mr. Golden might actually pull a Jack Ruby?
God, I hope not. For his sake, man. For his sake.
It's possible,
I have genuine concern for him because the man, his frustration, his anger, his grief, his loss have clearly driven him over the edge. It's no way to live. Whether or not he would actually end up doing something violent, I have no way of knowing. And frankly, I tend to doubt it. But just living with that kind of hate.
Yeah, well, I think the first week that it happened, he was convinced that O.J. did it, and nobody's going to tell him otherwise.
Well, my friend, I can well understand that. If something happened to, somebody near and dear to you, and the police said to you, "We got them," You're going to believe the police.
Right, but what I'm saying is, I think I would hope that if something terrible like that did happen to somebody close to me, I would at least have a clear enough mind to open up to possibilities that, I would be more enraged right now if I was him, that the police aren't looking for somebody who, that they could point more fingers to. Because obviously there's not enough pointing at O.J. to convict him. So if that's the case, which I wanted to throw at you on my version of why he did it or didn't do it, and if he did do it, there's not enough. I mean, he's a smart man, right? Would you agree, O.J.?
Yes, he is. He's not an educated man, but he's clearly a very smart individual.
Right. So if he was going to do this and it was premeditated, don't you think he would at least have, say that me and Cato were watching TV, or I was in my room with this woman and, I was over this lady's apartment or whatever. Don't you think he would have been able to cover his tracks a little better than to have no alibi whatsoever?
Well, I've been asked questions like this 1,000 times, and the only answer I can possibly give you is that people who kill other people are not smart. And,
right, but
so, I could well understand making major blunders, if indeed he did do it, making major blunders and not covering it up better, because it's not a smart thing to do, so therefore smart people don't kill other people.
Right, but obviously, if he did those murders, somebody helped him ditch the clothes and the weapon, or he hid it so well that nobody in the county has found it in the last year. So obviously, if he did do the murders and he had somebody help him out with hiding the evidence, that tends to lend you towards that somebody was helping him out and it was premeditated.
Well, the only person that could have done that is Robert Kardashian. And I've tried to put myself in Mr. Kardashian's place, and I can conceive of a very good, very close friend doing something incredibly stupid, like butchering his wife. And, laying the bloody clothes and the knife on me as he's coming back from the airport. I can conceive of spending a short period of time in my own grief and my own sorrow of going along with it. Yeah, sure, Johnny, I'll help you on this one. Sure. I cannot conceive of continuing the game for over a year. There is no way in hell that, I don't care how close a friend this individual was. I don't care if it was my brother. There is no way in hell I'm going to cover for a murderer. I don't want murderers on the street. Somebody that could turn on somebody he loves could turn on me, too.
Yeah, I think you'd hear the heartbeat under the floorboards as the story goes.
And, so I could conceivably understand how Kardashian would have said, yeah, I'll get this crap out of here for you, and, took it home. But I don't see him getting rid of it. I do not see him then thoroughly sanitizing the bag to make sure that there wasn't any residue in there, that would give me problems. I can't see it. It wasn't done.
Yeah, that's a lot of thinking in order to do that. But if O.J. does get acquitted, his life is never going to be close to the same.
Of course not.
Both sides of that family,
if he's acquitted, he'll at least get his money back, but that's it.
What about his kids?
Oh, sure.
You think he would get custody of his kids if he was acquitted?
Oh, of course they'd have to. There's just no way anybody could keep him from him.
Okay.
Just no way.
Who said those comments that you just said about go back to Africa? Was that the host or
no? That was a caller. And
really?
It just ran right past Larson. He just never heard it. Because it just didn't sound. Apparently, it just didn't sound that unusual to him, because as I'm saying, subconsciously, even that's I guess what I was saying when I said I'm not colorblind. Subconsciously, I notice black people. What do you notice? You notice what is out of place. I don't walk into my house and notice my lamp because it's where it's supposed to be. But if I walk into my house and one of my wife's shoes is sitting in the middle of the floor, I notice it. It's out of place. And so long as we notice black people, what we are in essence saying is they're out of place.
Right.
Even if we're not consciously aware of that, that's what we're saying.
One quick thing on the O.J. woman, and then that's it.
Sure.
Now, isn't the way Goldman isn't he coming close to being able to get sued himself for defamation?
Nah. Nobody's going to touch Goldman. And I think yesterday it finally caught on to the media that all they're doing is fanning the flames with this poor man and helping to drive him deeper and deeper into his rage.
Right.
I think they finally caught on yesterday. Why did they catch on months ago is beyond me.
Well, what kills me is how many people, I listen to a lot of other AM shows, and a lot of them were coming off just, going off on tirades about Cochran identifying Furman as possibly another Hitler, and people are going, he killed 6 million Jews, and Furman was just a racist. No, it's just a racist, but if you listen to those tapes, he admitted that if he had his way, he would gather up every black person in the world and burn them.
Well, I'd have to go back and read the transcript or see the tape again, but my recollection of what Johnny Cochran said in making the analogy between Furman and Hitler is pay attention to these guys. Nobody worried about Hitler either.
Right.
So I think the point he was trying to make, and whether he was clumsy in making it, is neither here nor there. But I think the point that he was trying to make is nobody worried about Hitler either.
Right.
They made excuses for him, too. Not that Mark Furman was the moral equivalent of Adolf Hitler. That is an absurd statement. And even if that is precisely what he said, that ain't the issue here. Well, let's argue about that one after this one's settled.
Yeah, plus people throwing in saying that he only made that comment because Goldman was Jewish.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Well, again, it's stretching. People don't want to deal with the reality of what is being presented to them, so they are frantically trying to find other things to distract them.